Right, what you see on the screen, this Excel spreadsheet, is a revenue share calculator. You'll see how it works in a minute. This block at the top here is simply the revenue share system. This is eXp's revenue share system. And as you will remember, these numbers in this column here are the maximum you can earn per agent on each of your 7 tiers. That's if they're a capping agent. Okay, this block here is where we are going to assume what the average agent in your group is going to do. Now, why do we want to do this? Because I don't want to plug in a whole bunch of numbers here into the actual revenue share calculator, which is this bottom section. I don't want to plug a whole bunch of numbers in there and then just assume that all the agents, let's say you end up with 50, 60, 70 agents in your group over a few years, that they're all going to be capping agents, because they're not. So I would rather plug some very conservative numbers into the spreadsheet, and then anything you achieve over that is just a bonus. So let's be as conservative as we can. So you need to tell me, do you think this is conservative enough, that the average agent in your group is going to sell 4 homes a year, average selling price of 900,000 Rand, and the average commission being charged 5%? I think that is a sufficiently realistically conservative estimate. And if you're happy with that conservative estimate, then you do not need to question the number that this spreadsheet spits out now, because this number that we look at here, the monthly income that you'll be earning, is based on this assumption. Very conservative. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to plug a number in here that will be the number of agents that you personally sponsor over any given period of time. And then we're going to assume the minimum growth down onto your 2nd and 3rd tiers. Now, you may even have growth into your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th tiers. I've been doing this for 13 months, and I've already got agents on my 5th tier. But we're just going to assume growth onto your 2nd and 3rd tiers. And we are going to assume the minimum growth. So each person that you introduce, we're going to say, just introduces 1. So if you introduce, say, 25 people over 3 years, they each are not going to bring in 25. They're just going to bring in 1 person, their best friend, and that's all they ever do. And then the same down onto your 3rd tier. So what would you need to do here? How many people would you need to sponsor in order for this number to be the 14,500 Rand that we wanted to be at our stage 1? Or if we're going to look at annual income, the 170,000 Rand per year that we want you to earn on revenue share to replace your cap. Because if we can just get you 170,000 Rand a year passive income on the revenue share, then essentially you're on 100% split all around, because the one offsets the other. Okay, I hope you understand the principle we're going for here. Okay, so over, let's say, 3 years, what would it take? How many agents could you show the model explained video to per year, in order to sponsor some people? Now, you're going to be surprised how low this number is just to get to 170,000 Rand a year. And I was playing with the spreadsheet earlier, and the number that we need to get to here is 10. Okay, so could you sponsor 10 people over the next 3 years? I think you could. I sponsored about 60 in my first year. Could you do 10 in 3 years? Yes, you could if you put a little effort into it. And of course, we are producing many resources to help you do that. Okay, so let's have a look at the numbers. You sponsor 10, and then they sponsor 1, they sponsor 1. You end up with a monthly income of 15,500 Rand a month. Now, that's based on these very conservative sales numbers, or 185,000 Rand a year. I think that is incredibly exciting. So that from that point onwards, even if your team doesn't grow anymore, for the rest of your career at eXp, you are essentially earning 100% of your commission all year round, and you are enjoying all the benefits of being a member of eXp. Okay, so back to the studio, and then the next illustration I'll show you is ratcheting it up a bit. Okay, how many people would you need to sponsor in order to start making some serious money? We'll get there next. All right, 50,000 Rand a month. That's what we're after now. I'm not going to change the assumptions we've made on what the average agent is doing. We're going to keep it at this conservative estimate. The only change that you see that I've made here now is I'm going to assume that the average agent that you personally sponsors 2 people over the lifetime of that agent. And we said 1 person earlier. And I'm doing this because this is far more accurate to real life. And I have personal experience of this myself. You will always have more agents on your second tier than you will on your first tier. There is this kind of exponential growth that happens down onto your second tier. And in fact, it goes even further. So this is realistic, what we're going to put in here. Now, in order to get you to 50,000 Rand a month or 600,000 Rand a year, earlier we said over 3 years, could you sponsor 10 people? Now, let's take a 5-year plan to get you to 50,000 Rand a month passive income. That means you've done 10 in the first 3 years. Could you duplicate that in the next 2 years? Because you're going to be starting to make better money on the revenue share, and you can start putting a little bit more intentionality and effort into that. So over the next 2 years, could you sponsor another 10, just 5 per year? Again, this is not like shooting the lights out. Many agents do this much faster than that. As I said to you earlier, I sponsored 60 in my first year. We're saying, could you sponsor in total 20 in 5 years? Well, if you could do that, sponsor 20, and then there is the natural realistic growth onto your second and third tiers. And in fact, you know what? I'm not even assuming any growth here on your fourth and fifth tiers, which you would have. But let's keep that as a 0. Let's keep it conservative again. If you sponsor 20 people and there's a little bit of growth down second and third tiers, look what happens to the income. You're up to 51,000 Rand a month or just over 600,000 Rand a year. What would that mean for you? Am I accurate in saying that you could probably begin to work less if you were earning an extra 51,000 Rand a month? Passive income. Or you could bring your wife or your husband home. So I hope that is exciting for you. And the next phase that we're going to look at, phase 3, when we take it up to the next level, is going to be how can we create genuine wealth doing this? How could you become completely financially free? How many people would you need to sponsor for that? Well, I look forward to showing you that next. Right, complete financial freedom. As you will see, I'm now wearing a t-shirt. Well, I should probably not just be wearing a t-shirt because we're talking about complete financial freedom. I should be shooting this video on a beach, or even better, in business class on an airplane, sipping my glass of champagne on the way to Greece. Anyway, the t-shirt's going to have to do. So we haven't changed the conservative estimates on what the average agent is going to do. What I have changed now, because we're going to be looking over a slightly longer period of time. Let's say you could do this in 5 years. There's been people who've done it in much shorter than that, but let's take 5 years, even 10 years. If you did this over 10 years, you know, hey, 10 years is not a long time to get financially free. I've changed only one other assumption, is that we are going to see the exponential growth down onto the third tier as well, which again is realistic. It is consistent with reality, with what happens. In fact, it continues to grow exponentially as you go deeper, but we're going to just assume uniform growth on your fourth, fifth, and sixth tiers. The other thing I'm going to assume here, even though we're going to have more than 40 people on our first tier, is that your seventh tier is not open. Okay, why am I going to assume that? In reality, what happens is if you were to sponsor 40, 50, 60 people, you will probably only have, well, let's just say less than 40 qualifying agents. Now, I don't want to get into an explanation of this, but not all of your first tier agents count to unlock your tiers. You need 40 active agents to unlock your seventh tier. These are all active agents you need to unlock your various tiers. So even though this number we're going to put you as more than 40, I'm going to assume that your seventh tier is not unlocked. Okay, so the number that we actually need to put in here, as I was playing around with it, is actually just 40. And there you're going to see. So could you, with some serious intention, over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, sponsor 40 people personally, 25 of whom will be active agents? And if that's what you do with the kind of growth we do see down into these networks, you would be earning 250,000 Rand a month. And that's with the average agent only doing that. So, wow, guys, I've heard it said, and I agree with this, that this is not only the best opportunity in real estate on the planet, it is the best opportunity on the planet. I have honestly never seen anything that can do this in as short a period of time as it can. 5 or 10 years is not a long time to build a business that pays you 3 million Rand a year passive income.